Welcome back, my friends. We are here enjoying a beautiful garden evening in the fall, and we are gonna react to some gardening TikToks. Kicking it off with number one, propagating garlic, a favorite plant of mine.
Never buy garlic again. You can propagate right on your kitchen counter year round.
Okay, so already you can do this. It's interesting that she's peeling off the papery skin. Typically when we're planting garlic in our backyard here, you leave the skin on to give it a little bit of protection, but this clearly works. It's not incorrect.
Peel off the outside layer, fill a shallow dish of water, and...
Okay, so she's rooting it now outside of the soil first. So you can see the green top is coming out, but also the roots are coming out of the bottom. This is exactly what would happen underground if you leave the papery skin on and just buried it, which we just recently did here on the channel. But this is just a different method of kind of getting across the same point.
And watch them root. Space out your holes so your garlic doesn't compete for nutrients and has room to grow.
I like the vibe. I like the delivery, the tonality, it's nice. I would say for me, if I'm growing garlic in a little container like this, it's probably a little too close together, so maybe 1.5 inch spacing. Typically garlic doesn't want to be crowded out too much. You may want to give it at least 4 inches, maybe 6 inches or so. But if you're growing it for what we call green garlic, which is just the tops, which is surprisingly delicious. You might think, oh, it kind of tastes the same as an onion. It doesn't really. It does have that garlicky flavor there. Then this is actually a really wonderful method.
And I'm not gonna water again until the soil is completely dry. Garlic does not like to be overwatered. And then in about 8 months, it's time to harvest.
This definitely works. What I will say is it does seem a little unnecessary to grow them on the plate and then just put them in the soil where they're gonna keep growing. And you don't have to peel the papery skin. So what you could do is like go to the grocery store, maybe you have some extra garlic laying around, just pop the cloves. So it's called popping cloves in the garlic trees. You just pop cloves off the bulb, just put those directly in. Those 12 days that she grew it on the counter, just grow it in the soil and you'd be good to go. And I probably would space them out a little bit more, but it is a really clever way, especially if you just don't care that much. You just wanna throw some garlic in and get some green garlic. It works completely fine. What is that? It looked like oatmeal there. And it looked, okay, so they're gonna do something with like grass seed or something like that here. So that's actually kind of clever. So they're making a slurry out of toilet paper and then mixing grass seed in, and then I guess just filling in the patches of their sod area that died out. Honestly, I don't know that I would probably be doing it. I'm not saying it doesn't work, because basically the toilet paper, when it's wet, it kind of breaks down into this slurry, and it's basically just a way to keep the grass seed moist for a long period of time while it sprouts and throws out roots. And then I guess it's easy to kind of slot it into the area of the lawn that is dying. I did find this creator made an update, and I'll show you what it looks like. So this might point to why, although it technically works, might not be the strongest idea out there. So this is a 2-week update. That's the before, of course, very patchy. So now you can see it is growing, but now what they have is dried up toilet paper slurry that's kind of all over the lawn, which doesn't look that great. So what I would say, while it works, I mean, it's crazy that we've gone from a world in which toilet paper people were like decapitating each other at a store to get it, and now you're using it to germinate your lawn. But what you can do is just take the grass seed and throw it, just scatter. You don't need to be super accurate. It can go over the places where there already is grass, and then just put some compost or some mulch or something like that, probably just compost on top, and water that in. That'll keep the grass seed nice and moist. You don't really need to do the slurry hack, although again, it does technically work. Next up, we have a basil hack here from Madeline Tries Her Best, who I think we follow each other on TikTok.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but stop buying basil at the store.
Stop buying basil at the store. I agree.
The organic herbs, and look at that. You can get a live plant for only $2.50. What a good deal.
Okay.
Take that baby home, unwrap it, and look at that. The plant is already starting to root itself.
So this is what's interesting is you can go to Trader Joe's or one of these stores like this and you just buy a plant, but they sell it more as basil for the kitchen. So basically they're just selling you a live plant that they expect you to harvest from and just use in your cooking, but of course it's a live plant. You can just plant that in your garden. So let's see what Madeline does next.
From the humidity from the bag. That's how much basil wants to grow. All right, we're not even gonna f around with whatever's in this pot, because I can tell you right now it's a bunch of nonsense.
So the way she said it is kind of accurate. There's way too much basil in the same pot. So if you're growing it for culinary purposes, like Trader Joe's is selling it for, it doesn't really matter that there's like literally 50 basil seedlings growing out of the same pot to kind of make it look like a bush. It's not one plant. And so she's cutting it all off right here and saying, you know what, I'm just gonna redo this.
I'm gonna cut all those plants right off. And then what I'm doing here is cutting the really big ones in half to maximize the number of plants I'm gonna get.
basic basil propagation, basic vegetative stem cutting propagation, which we've done here on the channel, a couple of videos actually on basil way back in the day for you OG followers. But you can do this. I mean, you really can turn one basil into 50 basil if you want. So now she's going to water root it.
Place them right in.
It makes total sense.
And if there are any leaves on the lower portion of the stem, just strip them off because you don't want them sitting in the water. They might rot.
That's a good point. So when you're taking a stem tip cutting, a lot of the times maybe you leave 2-ish sets of leaves. So she's done that here. And then anything below that that's going to go into the water to start rooting, you don't really want to put leaf tissue underwater and just let it rot out. It's not going to be too good. It'll still work, but it won't. Just trust me, this will start to smell. It's all bad. So you strip those off and you just put bare stem in the water.
All right, we're gonna sit these somewhere nice and sunny and just let them root. Now, best practice is to change the water out, but I'm lazy, and I know you probably...
You really don't have to change the water, she's right.
Perfectly fine, that's how resilient basil is. I did top off the water whenever it was getting low. Within a couple weeks, look at all of those roots.
So you'll get a ton of roots on this basil.
All right, this part's pretty easy. It's just planting baby plants. You're gonna get yourself some starter pots, fill it up with some potting soil.
Yep, this is exactly what you do. And you wanna make sure that you don't let the basil grow too much in the water because it can sort of get used to that environment. So the sooner it starts putting roots out, the sooner you kind of want to get it in the soil in a nice moist mix and let it get acclimated to where it's really going to be.
So I potted them all up, and then a week later, look at all the new growth it was pushing out already. Look at that. We got like, what,
nice.
8 new plants from that one plant. So I'd already done this a few weeks earlier with another plant. I put them in pots and put them around the garden, whenever they get...
So yeah, what she's done is basically go to Trader Joe's, buy a $4 pot of basil that's stuffed full of seedlings, cut it, propagate it again into basically at least as many seedlings as were in the pot as individuals, and then let those grow up on their own. Of course, you could just do this forever and ever and ever. And as we've mentioned before here on the channel, endless basil for your garden. All right, here we have a lovely gentleman presenting an onion from the supermarket. I love the cheery face. So don't throw away the base when cooking. I would agree with you on this. Instead, place it in water. Yep. I like this guy. This guy's got a wholesome vibe. So he's totally right. Like if you're gonna grow an onion, onion's a biennial crop. So actually what you eat, the onion bulb, if you were to keep that in the ground and not harvest it, the next year it'd go dormant in the winter, then it'd throw up a big stalk and you get this beautiful allium flower, which actually looks really, really beautiful. What I'll say is, if you want to do this hack, it works. However, I prefer to do it with green onions, which is a variety that's more bred for eating the tops of. So if you're gonna regrow it, you actually are regrowing the thing that you traditionally eat, whereas the onion from the bulb, the flavor's there, but it's just not as nice as the green onion in my opinion. So there's another hack here that shows you this. So you just chop the bottoms off. You can even go lower than that. You don't need to leave that much. You can leave like maybe a little nub and it will still regrow. This is very efficient because you can cram a bunch of them in one spot, and typically green onions already have roots on them, so you don't need to wait for them to root like you would the onion bulb. So yeah, just fill it up with water. I mean, you guys have seen this hack a million times. You're in a good spot. All right, let's take a look at this. We have the modern Nona. Everyone needs themselves a Nona in life.
This is the only lettuce hack and tip you need this summer. Don't
Okay.
pull the lettuce from the root, just cut it right above, and within about a week or two, it will continue to grow new leaves over and over again,
Yes.
and it's just as good.
So this one's interesting because she is completely right. If you do what's called a cut and come again style method, you can just cut it right above what's called the crown, where the new leaves are coming from in the center. And as long as you don't damage that, it will come back out. Now you can do it like maybe twice before it really starts to degrade, and then eventually you do have to replace it. But you can do it that way, or we've done a video where you can actually just pluck the outermost leaves, the bigger leaves, and let it keep regrowing from the center without cutting it off like this, and that works perfectly well. Or if you're growing something that actually is more of a heading lettuce, for me at least, I like to cut that one right off at the base or pull it out from the root and have a new transplant that I can put in, because that's kind of the reason you're growing that lettuce, or maybe even a romaine, you might want to do that way. So all that to say, a million ways to do lettuce, and this one totally works. Okay, we're back with Madeline on a way to fill a garden bed. So you went cardboard first, then she went woody material, then she went straw, wetting it down the whole way, good idea. Homemade unfinished compost, good idea. A really good way to let that compost break down on the bed is to just put it in the bed and let life happen. And then she went high quality planting mix for the rest. This is effectively sort of like a lasagna style gardening method where you're using different layers. Usually you kind of do more carbon-y materials than something like compost or more nitrogen-rich materials, maybe like chicken manure or something like that. I like what she did about the cardboard base is great because you're gonna get weed prevention, at least until the cardboard rots. Then she went the woodier stuff all the way down at the bottom where it's not really gonna impede the plant's roots. If there's a lot of woody material right around a plant's roots, it's actually stealing nitrogen from the plants while the plants are trying to use nitrogen. So not a great idea. That's why it's really nice what she did. She went the carbon stuff closer towards the bottom. The particle size got smaller as she went up. So she went like wood and cardboard at the bottom, then straw, kind of still big, unfinished compost, kind of still big, and then potting mix on top, which is nice and basically what we call finished or ready to plant in with all the nutrients that the plant needs. So this can be a very, very cheap and effective way to fill a raised bed. If you want another one for even taller raised beds, we have a full video on that I encourage you to check out. So this one here is from my friend Kyle over at Urban Farmstead on TikTok. Let's see what Kyle's got for us.
Show me the life hack that you randomly saw one day that is now an unconscious
That's actually
standard
very
practice in your
satisfying,
life.
I have to say.
I'll go first.
So he's taking a fork out of a plug tray and then just popping it up into a new tray. So this looks like he's growing some peppers here, maybe eggplants. It's a fantastic way to just go from the smaller one where you started the seed into a larger one, but I might have a better option. So here are the trays that we invented, the Epic 6-cell and then the Epic 4-cell tray. And take a look at this. It might be better than the fork, although the fork is really satisfying. Finger in the hole, right in the bottom, and then you can just drop it into a new one. All jokes aside, Kyle's method is very satisfying and works perfectly well. This one, of course, works well. A lot of these hacks work, and I would encourage you to give them a shot. So not everything out there is a 5-minute crafts piece of nonsense. There's plenty of good content out there. If you enjoyed this video, hit us up with a subscribe and check out our regrowing hacks video, Myth Busted or Myth Confirmed. Until next time, good luck in the garden and keep on growing.